Delaware's transit service, moving forward.
New tonight, Governor Carney releases his last proposed state budget of his tenure. Plus, in 3 separate incidents, Delaware students have been arrested this week for bringing weapons to school. And think you can manufacture a cool item here in the first state? Well, join a new contest to find out. Those stories and much more straight ahead tonight on DETV News. Good evening and welcome to DETV News. I'm Matt Ford. Thanks for joining us tonight. Topping our news today, Delaware Governor Gov Carney today unveiled a proposed roughly $6 billion operating budget for 2025 that keeps taxes flat while continuing investments in priority areas including public education, environment, communities, and government infrastructure. Rainy day funds and budgeting strategy avoided the need for any cuts or tax increases in fiscal year 2025. Carney did warn, however, that future budgets will be much tighter. The state is looking at declining revenues in years 2024 and 2025, but the Budget Stabilization Fund is expected to ward off the need for major cuts or increased taxes. Nearly 40% of the budget is healthcare costs, with both the state's portion of Medicaid and coverage for state employees and retirees. The budget sets aside $200 million to address future deficits with state health benefits. The budget includes $2.1 billion for K-12 education, including funds to increase starting salaries for teachers, expanding childcare and early education. The 2025 state budget dedicates nearly $130 million for environmental and climate action initiatives and also includes nearly $100 million for state police, courthouse, and public safety infrastructure improvements. Budgets must be approved by the legislature prior to the beginning of fiscal year on July 1st, 2025. And the annual State of the State address has been rescheduled after Governor Gov Carney had to cancel last week's originally planned event due to illness. Carney will now deliver his 2024 address from Legislative Hall on Tuesday, March 5th at 2 p.m. The event will be live streamed on de.gov/SOTS and on the governor's YouTube channel. And this week has seen several incidents of students bringing weapons to school. A 16-year-old John Dickinson High School student was charged with 4 felonies Wednesday after bringing a gun and ammunition to the Milltown school. Early Wednesday morning, a school resource officer was alerted by staff that the student was armed. According to police, the student was taken from a classroom and was found to have a loaded magazine on him and an unloaded gun in his backpack. Police said because there was no threat stated or implied, the school day did go on as usual. Parents were notified of the incident Wednesday morning. That's according to a district spokeswoman. The student was committed to the Ferris School on a $12,000 bond. Now, also today, Thursday, state police announced the arrest of a 15-year-old student. This comes 1 week after a 17-year-old Cape Henlopen High School student was arrested for bringing a loaded 9mm handgun to the school. The district called parents that day to inform them of the incident, and the school day also continued as normal. Also Wednesday, an 18-year-old Indian River High School student was arrested for bringing 2 folding knives and a THC vape in his backpack. The school's resource officer was alerted to the offense. The student was turned over to his parents and was charged with 2 weapon felonies and a misdemeanor for marijuana possession. He was released on a $2,000 secured bond. And new today, the Delaware Supreme Court has upheld the guilty verdict of former Wilmington police officer James McCall. He was convicted of providing false information about a gun used in the shooting of an unarmed teenager back in 2019. McCall's appeal, in which he argued for secrecy in police discrepancy and constitutional protections, was rejected. Last year, a jury found him guilty of felony false statement and misdemeanor official misconduct. Despite being acquitted of evidence tampering, McCall received a probationary sentence. The shooting was deemed legal, but McCall's lies about tampering with his service weapon led to charges and the conviction. And the Delaware Department of Justice can continue with its investigation into the theft of large amounts of ammunition from Cabela's now that a federal judge has sent the case back to state court. The Christiana sporting goods store lost about 500,000 rounds of ammunition from the sales floor over the course of 1 year. That's according to the Attorney General's office. The ammunition has since been moved behind a counter, but authorities want to know whether the retailer broke any laws. It is believed that the ammunition made its way to pawn shops as well as violent criminals. Attorney General Kathy Jennings said in a statement yesterday that the parent company of the store has been evading basic questions. She quotes that gun dealers need to take responsible steps to prevent gun violence. We are still waiting for evidence that Cabela did, end quote. And moving on, a bill that would require any business that provides pornographic material to verify the age of individuals accessing the material has cleared committee and now moves to the full Delaware House for consideration. Primary sponsor Mike Smith of Pike Creek said that the act is modeled after similar laws in Virginia, Utah, and Louisiana, and acts as a one-way to protect youngsters from harmful materials. Under the bill, any commercial entity that violates the verification guidelines will be subject to a civil penalty of $250 per violation. And a 29-year-old Milford man was charged with attempted murder by Dover police in connection to an altercation Sunday morning that was January 21st, and it happened at Dover Behavioral Health. Officers responded to the facility early Sunday morning and found a 64-year-old man there with life-threatening injuries being treated by medics. Police took Derek Chilikas into custody without any incident. He is being held at Sussex Correctional Institution on $200,000 cash bail. The victim was listed in critical condition at Bay Health Kent campus at last check. And state police are investigating a fatal pedestrian accident. It happened on Wednesday evening around 5:15 in Townsend on Route 13 near Blackbird Landing Road. Police say the 40-year-old victim, who was from Townsend as well, was wearing bright reflective clothing when they were hit. The car that hit them actually caught fire following the collision. The driver, a 36-year-old Dover man, is suspected of being under the influence of drugs. A 23-year-old woman and a 4-year-old child who were in the car at the time were taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. And heads up for those who travel through or around the Newark area, construction crews are beginning to take significant strides in the reconstruction of the I-95 South College Avenue interchange in Newark. Beginning this week and lasting into mid-February, bridge girders will be put into place for the new flyover ramp from southbound I-95 to southbound Route 896. The placement of the large steel beams will be mainly at night, weather permitting, and will require overnight lane and ramp closures as contractors progress the north and southbound lanes of the interstate. DelDOT has a website where motorists can get updated information about lane restrictions, and you can see that here on your screen. And sticking with travel news now, the Delaware River and Bay Authority will spend about $6.6 million to improve and expand the Wilmington Airport Terminal. That's according to its 5-year capital investment plan. That is one of the 120 improvement projects costing $133 million at the Delaware Memorial Bridge, the Cape May Lewis Ferry, as well as other state facilities. The most expensive project involves designing and building new ferries, budgeted at around $110 million. And in a legislative move, State Senator Sarah McBride has introduced a bill to establish a student loan borrower bill of rights here in Delaware, potentially making us the 19th state with such legislation. The bill aims to protect nearly 130,000 student borrowers right here in the first state with an average debt burden of $37,000. McBride emphasizes the need for safeguards in the private student loan sector, which constitutes about 10% of the market. The proposed legislation not only bans unfair practices by loan servicers, but also creates the Office of the Student Loan Ombudsperson to investigate borrower complaints. Senator McBride sees immediate benefits in easing financial burdens, reducing defaults, and enhancing consumer protection. The bill's economic impact is highlighted with potential contributions to local economies and the state's appeal. It now moves from the State Senate Education Committee to the Finance Committee for further consideration. And it's not exactly a breath of fresh air when it comes to Delaware's performance in the most recent State of Tobacco Control report by the American Lung Association. In fact, it's quite a mixed bag. While receiving 2 F grades in tobacco taxes and flavored products, the state actually earned 2 A's for tobacco prevention and control funding, smoke-free air, and a grade of a B for cessation service access. The American Lung Association acknowledges Delaware's relatively better ranking, but they're emphasizing the need to address tobacco use, which causes 1,440 deaths annually. The association recommends a $1 per pack cigarette tax increase and equalizing taxes on all tobacco products. This includes e-cigarettes. Officials note that higher taxes do correlate with reduced tobacco use, supporting the call for legislative protection and increased funding for prevention and quit smoking programs. And the chef and owner of one coastal restaurant down in Fenwick Island is actually a semi-finalist for a James Beard Award in the Best Chef Mid-Atlantic category. This is Matt Kern's 3rd semi-finalist nomination, receiving the same honor back in 2019 and 2020 while working at Heirloom in Lewis. Kern, who purchased the 50-seat eatery in 2022, is the only Delawarean that's nominated this year. The James Beard Awards are presented by Capital One to honor James Beard, America's first celebrity chef. The winners will be announced at a Chicago ceremony that's going to be June 10th. And calling all manufacturers of cool stuff in Delaware, the Delaware State Chamber of Commerce and its affiliate, the Delaware Manufacturing Association, have just announced a contest to name the coolest thing made right here in the first state. Nominations will be accepted until February 21st. Eligible companies are manufacturers whose nominated product is manufactured in a Delaware-based facility. On February 22nd, all qualifying nominees will be announced and the public will be asked to vote for their cool choice. The popular vote round ends on February 29th, and the top 16 products will compete in a bracket-style contest. The winner will be revealed at the Chamber's Spring Manufacturing and Policy Conference. That's going to be March 28th. For more information on this, visit the website seen on your screen. Very cool. And that's going to do it for tonight's edition of DETV News. Be sure to like and follow us across your favorite social media platforms. And for a look at what's happening around the state of Delaware, head to our website. That's detvch.com. With tonight's news, I'm Matt Ford. We'll see you again next week.